We have S-gauge, 2 S-gauge loops as well, so that we can show the American Flyer trains. The entire system runs on the Legacy. Every track is controlled through the Legacy unit. And we have 4 stations on the layout where we have ZW and Legacy units, so that when people come up to the booth or come up to the display, we can actually hand the controllers to the folks and say, invite them to play with the train. When you combine all the trains that are running on the tower displays, running across the perimeter trusses, all the trains that are running on the Lionel train layout in the center of the booth, we have 36 trains running at any time. It's very, very experiential.
Based on the reaction so far, Lionel and TW Design have hit a grand slam. Huge crowds gather everywhere the display is set up. Questions are asked, catalogs are given out, and eventually, Lionel trains will be bought.
Well, the reaction to the new booth at York was, I would say, 100% positive. Everybody loved just about everything we did. They were very excited about the whole environment of trains running around you as you walked into the booth. There really wasn't a corner that you could look at that didn't have trains running. The action that was going on, the bright colors, the branding, the bright orange of the trusses, the towers, the base cabinet that had the Lionel box colors incorporated into it. It was very bright, very attractive, very identifiable as only Lionel. I think that the interaction of the Legacy system, that people could walk up, actually hands-on, play with the trains with the Legacy, operate the trains, push buttons along the perimeter of the display to activate the accessories, seeing the newest product actually being on the table and not just on the shelf. The product is working. The product is fun. I think that people responded to that very positively. It's the environment that it takes for people to get excited about not just the product, but the company. And I think that this booth, more than what we've done previously and what Lionel has done previously, really enhanced that experience so that people walked up to it and they were playing with trains. And you can't have a better statement about what the company is and what the potential is for the customer than walk in, play with the train, see him running, seeing him in exciting environments. I think that one of the biggest challenges that we have when we create a train layout is finding a happy medium between the, heck, I can do that, and the, wow, that's pretty cool, and that almost high-end, high-rail type of finish. And because Lionel appeals to those extremes in the hobby, we have to deliver that in the display. And I think we really succeeded with that on a level we haven't done before with the new booth.
While TW Design has been building elaborate, high-profile displays for Lionel, they also design and build custom train layouts for families and collectors.
The range of layouts that we do build goes from a simple 4x8 table up to a complete installation that could fill a room. Our whole goal is to create layouts that can come out of the attic or out of the basement and literally be in the middle of the family room and be an heirloom piece that is going to be admired by everybody who walks into the room. Even moms and wives will say, if you could build a layout like that, you could put it in the family room. We really pride ourselves because of our theatrical experiences. They tend to be more sculptural. You can approach the layout from all sides and it's interesting. One of the layouts that we recently visited was the one that is T-shaped. It was a very high-end home, so the layout needed, again, to look like furniture. And the finishes were all approved by the wife who was working as the interior decorator on the project. Again, we worked with the client who was the gentleman who we created the layout for, he and his son. So we had very specific goals that we needed to reach for both parties and everyone who's involved with the layout. And I think we achieved it quite well. When you see the layout, you literally walk into it from the very front and you get involved immediately with a water feature at the bottom with a tugboat. And it's layered up into a working wharf with the trains running across the wharf and up the hillside into the city and the park playground, and then stepping up into an elevated station that runs up into the mountains. That's the background. So it's a very nice walking into the layout, walking into the room, walking into the train experience. Lots of motion, lots of lights. In a 13-foot by 14-foot T-shaped display, we have 5 trains running. And a loop of super streets as well. So a lot of activity, a lot of play value. There's a roundhouse and a turntable on that small of a layout that really gives you lots of opportunities to do not just loop-to-loop, but prototypical operations as well, which was something that the owner wanted as an adult to be able to have, but then also meet the criteria of his 8-year-old son, who would be the major player of the layout, the one who owned the trains. So it's quite a fun experience. On some of the layouts that we've worked on, we were invited to work on just specific elements. The client may already have a table that he's constructed. He wants to add some of the features that our craftsmen and artists can create to a much higher level. The particular attic display layout that you saw was one where the table was completed. The owner is a very talented individual himself who did all the basic table work and actually had started putting some of the mountains together. And we had worked on layouts together in a club that we belong to. But he knows that, again, the capabilities we have are at another level, and he was able to invite us to create the mountains and work with him, show him how to work, carve the mountains to a greater level of detail than he had had experience-wise, and we actually taught him how to carve the mountains, seal the mountains, paint the mountains, and just take his whole display to a much higher level than it was previously. In regards to the display that we saw that's an L-shaped train layout, the cabinet work was all, the base unit was all cabinet, display cabinet, shelves that we incorporate aluminum track shelving with a really nice oak finish and a mirrored background. So it has the ability to really show off the trains well in a support element that holds the whole table on top of it. The table you saw was an L-shaped table. It had 3 loops, operating loops of a train in it, and a super street effect as well. Loops and a lot of siding, so there's a lot of prototypical type potential that the client wanted so that he can put operating accessories. He has a lot of vintage accessory plus a lot of the modern Lionel accessories, and he wanted to have the opportunity to have a lot of play value. The client, more than anything, wanted a train layout for himself. It was the opportunity to put together an operating layout that allowed him to play with all the toys that he had been collecting for so many years. He had been collecting toy trains since the 1970s and never had a permanent layout of any type. He pretty much just put track on the carpet, played with his trains that way. But now he wanted something more permanent. So his wife agreed that if he could have a good-looking train layout, one that displayed his collection, his large collection, she'd be willing to give up one of the family rooms for that. And I think we've succeeded in creating a display that fits that environment. The train layout itself is one thing, but again, I think the element that really creates a legacy for the family to own is when we do the custom legs or these special legs that talk about the product, talk about the train experience, talk about the branding. And this is a Hellgate, based on the Hellgate Bridge, and then the top just sets on the top of that base element. The level of realism is scaled back, and we have that more Art Deco look to it, a little bit more, if you will, folk art, that we really showcase those bright tin plate, stamped steel colors and finishes. It's really meant to be a fun little two-loop with some switches that you can go back and forth between the loops and to a couple of sidings and have a lot of fun playing with.
For Lionel enthusiasts, TW Design has created an enviable world. Designing and building train layouts, displays, playing with Lionel trains almost every day, and, get this, getting paid for it.
After 27 years in the business of building displays and trade shows and theater sets and stage sets, I'm really blessed to have a wonderful group of people who not only are skilled and talented and do wonderful magic with all types of material in creating these wonderful little environments for people to play with. They're a really nice group of people too. I think I have electricians and carpenters and scenic painters that truly love what they do and truly enjoy sharing that with people. And go out and meet the public too. You know, we go out and we set up a show. We don't just go back to the hotel room and wait for the show to go over because we're not interested. We're very interested. We walk the show floor. We stay with the booth. We demonstrate the trains. We know how to play with them. And it's a passion. It's not just a job for us. And we love what we do, and we love the opportunity to work with clients that love trains and love what we can do and what we can provide. It's pretty exciting.
Well, time to go. Hope you enjoyed the show. Coming soon, Lionel Nation Part 4. Highlights include David Dansky's giant multi-gauge and every era layout and collection, Bill Spaulding's scale-detailed layout featuring the Northern Pacific Railroad, Lionel's post-war motorized units, how to weather and detail locomotives, cars, and buildings, plus a lot more. Lionel Nation Part 4. Don't miss it.
The train is rolling by. Everyone turns around and stares in anticipation. It's clear to me, oh can't you see, it's the Lionel Nation. Shining gleam, that mighty sound and steam, pistons pound around and round, just like in a dream. Another train pulls in and arrives at its destination. It's clear to me, oh can't you see, it's a Lionel